TempahZone.
How's it going, everybody? Wherever you listen to this podcast right here, this is episode 94 of the TempahZone podcast with your host, me, Amir Max, and that's all facts. And ladies and gentlemen, my special guest on the podcast here, any artist listening, just step your bars up, because this dude right here is clearly got bars for days, got bars for bars. Like, this dude he's at your neck. I'm just letting y'all know, all right? So just beware, okay? That's definitely all I gotta say. The music's obviously fire. If the bars are fire. I got Jay Faith on the show. Jay Faith, how's it going, man?
What's up, y'all? I'm doing pretty well, hanging in there, doing what I can, just staying busy, staying focused, and just trying to bring something to people that'll keep them inspired and, keep them pushing forward through life.
Yeah, man, your music's definitely that, and I think that was like the breath of fresh air that I got from listening to you. I was like, all right, you ain't talking about doing drugs and partying and shit. Like, you're trying to spread good messages, man. Like, you're the opposite of doing bad things. You're trying to spread a good vibe, man. So I really like that you're going about that, man. But we'll definitely get into all the music and stuff. But I want to ask you though, just right now, man. How has everything been for you during this pandemic that we're in? Everyone's handling it in their own way, but how have you been able to get through all this madness?
It's definitely been challenging, obviously, just like anybody else. Fortunately, knock on wood, I was able to have a job through the whole thing as far as, work goes and, financial stability. I just thank God that I was able to have that for me, and definitely try to look for ways to give back to people during this time. Because I know it's a challenging time. So, and it still is. We're not out of the neck of the woods yet. So,
unless you're in Texas,
yeah, apparently, right, exactly. No, I got family out there. They're probably, I don't know how they feel about it.
Yeah, same here. It's definitely probably mixed feelings. But yeah, man, we're all in this together with this shit. So I mean, it's good to hear that you've had some sort of stability with keeping that job, man. Because it's it's crazy times. Everybody's going through it in their own way. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, no, I can't imagine. Again, I just knock on wood, just grateful. A lot of people, I know like a few people just really struggling, whether it's, just, waiting for that stimulus check type of thing, or just scraping around, asking friends, doing odd jobs just to make it through the day. So, I give praise to y'all, to those people who had to really just, dig underneath the dirt to find something just to make it through. And, if you're still here, if you're still pushing through, more power to you, and just look back. Hopefully you look back and just reflect, like, if you can make it through that and just push through, like, you can make it through a lot of different things. So.
No, that's real shit, man. Definitely. It's definitely a testament, to people's, just mental strength and how they can handle all this stuff, man. So it's definitely real shit you're saying right there, man. I want to ask you though, man, about just, your beginnings with making music. Cause I can tell you come from a certain era of hip hop, that some would call the golden age, man. But I want to hear from you. Yeah. I want to hear from you, man. What were your beginnings with music? How did you get into the writing?
The beginnings of music was trash. I was terrible. I thought I was a Rough Rider. I wanted to be in Rough Riders. I was talking about wearing chains and driving cars and
trying to find that identity.
Yeah, man. I look back and I'm like, I was such a sellout. I'm doing everything that I rap against now. Yeah. So, I just, but you got to start somewhere. You got to realize none of it I ever recorded. I always just wrote it. And then I originally started out as a kind of a Christian rapper. That was kind of my main focus, was Christian rap. I had a friend of mine at the time who really pushed me into, I had showed him a couple songs that I just, recorded on GarageBand. And, he was like, yo, like, you should really push forward through that. Like, we recorded on a GarageBand, not a Rock Band microphone.
Nice.
One of the first times that we like really recorded something. And that was just a humbling experience in itself, looking back, just where you started to where you're at now. And so I started on the Christian rap thing, and that's no diss to Christian rap whatsoever. I love Christian rap as well, too.
Same here, yeah.
NF, Lecrae, Andy Mineo, all those dudes.
They go hard, man.
Yeah. Super lyrical, miracle type of dudes, and just bring a super positive, strong message. Did that for a little bit, and just in my own personal experience with it, it was very hard to get a grasp on people to be like, hey, like I want to listen to your music, because at the time I don't think Christian rap was as accepted as it is now. Again, you have like your Lecrae's, your NFs who just bar it to death and just hit you with something totally different. But at the time, like especially with even just my friends, it was hard to be like, hey, you want to listen to my Christian rap song? They're like, not really,
Yeah.
So that was a little bit challenging, but my inspiration came from DMX, and not just the up in here's and that kind of stuff, but more deeper into the discography of his. Lord gave me a sign. I miss
DMX
you.
got some deep ass shit, bro. Like
the
like
prayers,
guy,
the prayers. Like that's what I was like, man. Like this music, like really hits me differently, and that's what I want to give off, and that's kind of where initially started the Christian rap thing. But again, just kind of struggled with making that connection with my peers, creating an audience. So, the thing with me and my buddy didn't really work out that well. Just things happen. It is what it is. And then another friend of mine was like, dude, you should just do a solo career, and go solo. And, long story short, I just expanded it to just general hip hop, and created my first project, I'm Still Human. And that was about 2013 when I dropped that. So that was like the start of my actual hip hop, releasing music seriously, trying to push it, promote it. Time frame. So,
wow, man. 2013, man, and then it's to 2021 now, man, and I just feel like your sound. It definitely sounds like you had to, go through all the nick and crannies and your style and figure out what you want. Because the style you're doing now, you don't just jump into that. Like you gotta mature and go through some shit to get to that point where you're addressing the things you are in your music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the crazy part is too, and I want a lot of people to recognize this, not only for myself, but a lot of these, especially younger hip hop artists who are jumping into the hip hop scene. You do have to do your due diligence in learning the past, and just where hip hop has come from. You don't necessarily have to fall into the same box, quote unquote box, that they were in. Obviously, reinvent yourself, create yourself, but you got to understand where it came from, because growing up, I didn't really listen to hip hop like that. It was basically your top 20s that you hear on Kiss 108, Jammin', not even so much Jammin' 94.5, but more like your Kiss 108 type of thing. So, I wasn't deep into the discography of Tupac and Biggie and Nas and
like a Rakim,
all those dudes,
Big Daddy Kane, shit like that.
Yeah, because I was coming up. I still remember this. It was a funny thing. I was probably 12 or 13. 12 or 13. I was at summer camp, and somebody came up to me and they were like, "Yo, is Tupac dead?" And I had no idea who even Tupac was. When I was 13. So I was like, I think I said, no, yeah, he's still alive. He's still alive. Something crazy like that. But just the answer was like, I didn't know the answer, So again, a lot of these hip hop people, they live and breathe and were bred with hip hop. And for me, I literally had to go back and be like, all right, I need to understand where I'm coming from, because I don't want to look like an idiot.
Yeah.
Jumping into something and saying the wrong thing, just representing the wrong thing. And then just to educate yourself and just know, and I'm still doing that to this day. There's still artists, even your Rakims and things like that I'm still diving deeper into, because there's so much music out there, as we all know. And so much to learn from, and you just got to take your time and sift through it. It takes time, but it's definitely worth it. And it has that influence on you, whether you think it does or not, whatever style of music you end up pursuing, in your own.
Yeah, it's all been done before, man. And I think that's why you got to do your due diligence and learn the history, because it's a shame, because some of these artists don't care about the history of this genre. And it's like, you're not helping yourself out doing that. Like you would learn so much more if you understood how this genre came about, how it was, and you might it might spark something in you. And then on top of that too, you might think you came up with some shit, and then you'll be like, nah, like someone already did that. Someone already has a song like that. Like they already did that already. You know what I mean? And I just think the younger artists need to take that time to do that, and because it's only gonna help. It ain't gonna hurt you. Like
Exactly, and you don't have to like it. That's the thing. That's the thing that a lot of people think.
Yeah.
You don't have to like it. Just understand it. Like there's some legends. I'm like, not for me. It's not for me. That there's a big difference between not for me and calling out somebody and saying their music is trash. That's a very different perspective. But so, again, there's some legends. It's just not for me, but I respect what they've contributed to music as a whole because I know they had an impact in music clearly. So again, it may not be for me, but I understand and respect the ground that they've covered in order to make a pathway of their own and influence hip hop and music as a culture.
Nah, man, I totally hear that, man. That's definitely the right way to just look at it. I think it's all about being an artist. You definitely want to just look at things for what they are. And like you said, you don't have to like it. You just have to just study the game, man. You just gotta study the game and then see what's going on though. Like with in terms of like today's music, it's like that all comes from somewhere. The melody rap is people think it's new, but melody rap is technically been a thing if you look at Bone Thugs and Harmony. But a lot of these artists
chopping it up forever.
Yeah, it's been going on. You know what I mean? It's just that it wasn't like it's not as highlighted as it is nowadays. You know what I mean? So.
And you're just using a different producer. It's a different sound, but you're still chopping it up the same exact way that they were. You just maybe reinvented it a little bit with a different sound and a different, different 808. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, no, for sure, man. It's making me think of something that like Nas said about just how like he doesn't, none of these new artists keep him up. You know what I'm saying? And just considering the style of music you put out, what do you think of just like the contemporary hip hop that's coming out today? You think we're in a good way going forward? Do you think like for hip hop listeners who like the bars, you think they got to dig deeper to find that real shit? What would you say to that?
That's a good question. I think let's dig deep. It definitely is. It does have its challenges because like they say, like hip hop is a young man's game
for sure. Yeah.
And when you're still an artist that cares about the lyrics, cares about the beats, cares about putting in the time and the work to put an actual conceptual song together in a day and age where a lot of artists today just they put together a 2-word hook and just repeat it multiple times just so that I'm not gonna lie, a lot of it is catchy.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's got its place.
It's got its place. And yeah, exactly. That's the thing. There's a time and a place for that kind of music, but I don't see the contemporary dying anytime soon. I think because I do see it in a lot of younger artists that are like, nah, I'm not, I don't know. And again, it to me it's weird to see like the super younger artists, like I'm 32 and I see people like 20, 21. I'll bring up this dude and he's Hero the MC. I'm sure know.
Yeah, man, Hero's good people.
Like 21, 22, and to have the knowledge that he has of legends like Guru and just respect for that type of game at his age, like is astounding to me, and I love it and I appreciate it. So I know there's many more like him
for sure
still coming and going, nah, we're not gonna just like forget about this age. And again, you can still spin it and still play it and still pay homage to hip hop of 80s, 90s, early 2000s. So, but again, like him as an example, definitely a very conceptual artist while still bringing a lot of bars and just going at it continuously.
Mm-hmm.
with respect to the game. So I don't see it dwindling down anytime soon.
No.
Um, especially, like my peers, MOCG, all those dudes. You got Grind Mode Cypher that's doing their thing, sticking true to it. And I know so I know that there's other like Grind Mode Cyphers out there that are continuing to, keep the agenda going and, not settling down for anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I think it will always have a place in the genre. They'll never go anywhere. Real rap, the real bars, where really giving those wordplay and the similes and metaphors and double entendres. That ain't going nowhere. And to the people that like make fun of the rippity rap, lyrical miracle type stuff, it's like, you think you don't like it until you come across something where you do, where something actually has a concept in there. They're rhyming things in ways you never heard before. It's like, because a lot of times consumers don't realize what they like and don't like. You just have to, they just have to come across it, and then, whatever, sticks. And so I think, when it comes to this genre, there's room for everybody to do what they got to do, man. And that's the way I see it. I never look at it as just like, oh, it's just melody rap and that's it. And like, the lyrical rap is dead. No one cares anymore. I never looked at it that way, man. There's always going to be room for that quote unquote lyrical rap. You know what I'm saying?
And there's still going to be an audience. And I just think it's the hip hop isn't going to just fade. It's just going to branch off. There's just different branches of hip hop. That's why, like, sometimes I'll admit, like, I get a little bit frustrated sometimes when you get into like the really like trappy mumble rap type of things and like, oh, that's hip hop. No, that's just a branch of hip hop in its own separate name.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing against that. There's people that are going to like that, and and it has its place.
Yes.
But you can't, it's its own new style of thing. Just like we've been categorizing a lot of different things over the years.
Rock. Yeah.
Exactly. You got heavy metal, alternative. Like, it's the same thing. So just it's hip hop, but it's a different branch. You can't just say, oh, because we all know what hip hop came from.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So, and again, it's no disrespect to the current hip hop, and again, the mumble rap, that kind of stuff. It's just you took something and you made it something else, and that's okay. That's what music has to evolve. It's just how it is.
Yeah, you can't control that. It's like you said, hip hop's a young man's game, and so these artists who are 18, 19, 20 are gonna put their own sauce on this stuff, man. I just get bothered when people say everything sounds the same. Everything sounds the same. It's like, have you not heard Griselda? Like, they're like new and popping. Freddie Gibbs is doing his thing. Like, what do you mean? Like, I just hate the ignorance some people say about like the genre. It's just like, oh, everything sounds the same. It's like, you ain't listened to enough stuff then.
Yeah, I was gonna say you need to expand what you're listening on. You need to just put Apple Music on Apple Music, Spotify on shuffle, and just opening the doors of just hip hop and just leave it on shuffle and just shut up and listen. Because there's and it's not just hip hop, it's R&B. It's R&B is, I still think R&B is still huge.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't get the attention that it deserves, but there are some phenomenal R&B artists out there as well.
Killing it. Yeah, I hear you there, man.
And again, they've taken just pieces of hip hop, taken pieces of obviously old school R&B and soul, and just reinvented it and created a new sound. And that's just how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, man, it's as simple as that, man. I think as artists, it's easy to look at it that way, but I think some people are just like, oh, everything's the same now. Everyone just says blah this, blah that, but
you're only listening to the same station.
Yeah, exactly.
Change the station.
Change the station. Yeah, exactly, man. That's yeah, that's so true, man. But yeah, man, you mentioned MOCG. It stands for Minds of One Collective Genius. I love that title. I love that name. And you got WriteMind going on as well. Talk about what pushed you to start that brand, that label. I really like what you're doing with it.
So MOCG, Minds of One Collective Genius, that was actually Just for Kicks and Ian 13 Ball. That is their baby. They founded that as just an initiative to bring in different hip-hop artists, different artists. I shouldn't even say hip-hop artists, just different artists to come together, because we have producers, we have a acoustic players, guitar players, piano players, drum players, graphic designers, but just bringing artists together and just supporting each other as a collective. Hey, you need a beat. Hey, you need a photo shoot. Hey, you need a video done. Like, we're slowly just building these people together as resources, whether it's, I just need feedback on this out. Like, I did a listening party for Moving Out, my latest album, and I just had them in a room and was able to just play and be like, and just get feedback and just hear. And it's great when you can have those people as resources to just be like, hey, I need to pick your brain. I need an outside source that's not my own, that has been listening to this music for 6 odd months, trying to put it together. You just need a second ear
For sure.
to do that. So that's pretty much what we do, and just supporting each other, obviously sharing stuff on social media. We do shows together, and, we split it up, just to make sure everybody gets an opportunity to perform, to get their stuff out there. And then, we just set up the studio. So we have a kind of a home base where, everybody can just go and have a studio that they can record in and not worry about trying to, figure that whole mess out. We all know how that goes.
Yeah.
So, but we just have a central place where we can also just like meet up. We're meeting up this weekend. We're gonna, just sit down, kind of have a game plan. Like, what's our upcoming show is gonna look like? What's, what are the releases that we have coming out? Because again, if you think about it, you have there's, like 13, 14, 15 of us with, we'll say on average, excuse me, 1,000, 1,500 followers. You times one post by 13 people sharing it to their 1,500 followers,
Mm-hmm.
You've just reached a huge market of people
For
just
sure.
by, hitting a share thing. And that's all it's about, is just sharing music, and supporting each other through that aspect, as far as MOCG goes. So I was brought on, when was I brought on? Jeez. Probably, I think October or November of, let's say, 2019,
Mm-hmm.
was when I first came on. I know Just for Kicks was there, Ian, they had Rep Tyler, you had geez, my mind's going blank. Kyle Knight, those dudes, they were all
Mm-hmm.
there. I jumped on, then we had Life that hopped on, we got Hero the MC that's, recently joined, Chemic, another phenomenal female. I'm not even gonna say that because I said this to somebody else the other day. But respect to Chemic, I don't even put her as a female rapper. I just put her as a straight up rapper, because there shouldn't be that separation, and she just
Nah, I
keeps
hear
it
you.
straightforward and just bars it to death, stays true to what hip hop is.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
I
she's
don't
really
even,
good. Yeah. I've heard
so
her stuff.
I try not to box people in like that, because she's just an MC. But
Mm-hmm.
we're constantly just adding on people and just support systems, and we're also just learning from each other. you know Again, Hero as an example, he's got his, bars over bars, and what's the recipe, and all these other shows that he's doing, and
Yeah, you
we're
got a
just
lot going
learning.
on too, man.
And his fan base is just growing and growing and growing, and it's like, well, dude, like, all right, well, what's up? Like, how do you do that? And then I share, like, my tips on Instagram, and then I get somebody for, investing money, so it's like we all have something to bring to the table. Let's put it on the table for everyone to eat off of.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's pretty much what we do for MOCG. As far as Right Mind, that's a whole nother undertaking that I've been super happy to have started. I started it roughly after I finished Right Mind, the album.
Mm-hmm.
Um and I was thinking for a while. Right Mind has had a few other different names and a few other different startups, if you'll say,
Yeah.
and just never I could never really get like the groundwork down for it and just figure out really where I wanted to go with it. But then in the creation of Right Mind and just reflecting on a lot of different things, excuse me, I was just thinking about, like, man, like there's a few things in my own personal life that I've struggled with and have overcome and gathered resources for that. So what I wanted to do is be able to give those resources back to people. So I
Mm-hmm.
came up with, well, I didn't come up with, but I centered it around 4 concepts: fitness, finance, music, and mental health. All things that I've struggled with in my life at one point or another. And again, just had resources. Obviously, it started with music,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
just like, as anybody first coming out, you're like, man, like, where do I start? What do I use? What
Oh
do I
yeah.
do? Who do I talk to? And that's our mission, whether it's, again, if speaking solely on music, here's how you can build your own home studio. Here's how you can uh market your stuff, put your stuff out, a new single, all those kind of things. And no, I'm not reinventing the wheel with
Nah.
the information that I'm putting out, but it's just another source for people to have, and coming from somebody that has dealt with those things. So I've put together a great team. I have Blaze Training, who helps out on the fitness side, as well as turntable teachers who help on the music side,
Hmm.
and just being able to help provide content. We just started WriteMind Wednesdays, which is just interviewing different people related to the 4 concepts, and just
Yeah, fuck
sharing
with
that,
that, man. Yeah, that's dope.
and just sharing those stories, and just hearing from people, because sometimes just slapping, a picture or a clip just doesn't always do it for people. But when you can actually hear from real people, like, man, like, I struggled, like, you have no idea, but this is what I did to get out of it. And you're like, man, I was in that same exact situation. All right,
Hmm.
I know I can do that, and again, it's whatever it is: fitness, finance, music, mental health. You can't get enough resources for it. So if we can just continue doing that, and we have a huge game plan that we're looking forward to doing, just giving back to people, not only information, but just, again, those resources and things like that. So we've just kept pushing, and even through COVID, COVID was just a good way for us to figure out how we wanted to structure this thing.
Hmm.
And I think now we definitely have a good kind of formula for what we want to do. And now is a good time as ever, um, to take a sidestep left. I was talking with Mike from Turntables. We were saying, COVID. Everybody's like, "Oh, COVID. I can't do anything. I can't do this. Can't do that." I'm like, if you're a creator, this is the time
Yeah.
to plan.
Yeah.
This is the time to plan and put everything together, because
Better be plotting.
once everything opens back up, you can be like, all right, let's go. Let's go.
Yeah,
Because
right
there's so
to
many. Yeah, you don't
it.
have to worry about, like, oh, okay, let's get a game plan together. It's like, no, I'm cool. Everything's right here.
Hmm.
Let's go. And that's what we were talking about, and just saying, let's just get everything together. And once the climate changes a little bit better, people start getting outside, whatever, what have you, like,
Hmm.
we'll be ready to run and just go. And that's pretty much what we did. Obviously we're still via social media, but things are lightening up. People aren't. I'm hoping people aren't as stressed out. Just being able, things are opening back up a little bit. It makes things a little bit easier.
Getting back to a little bit more normalcy.
A
Yeah.
little, yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. So it's like, once we started doing those Right Mind Wednesdays, we're seeing people just coming in and just engaging and interacting, and obviously, getting the follows, which is great. We're not in it for the numbers. We just want people to get the information.
For sure.
The
Yeah.
more people we have, the more followers, the better, because it's more people being able to get those resources.
Hmm. Yeah, you can't complain about getting the numbers up, but I mean, at the end of the day, you want to put out that best product. You want to make sure you're actually delivering something so that whoever's consuming it is gonna benefit from it in some way and somehow. So I really like what you're doing with both MOCG because and Right Mind because with MOCG, man, coming into this game, you think you can do it all yourself, or you don't realize what you can do and what you will need. But once you step into this game, you will totally understand that you need at least a team of 5 around you to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, you're in for a rude awakening. These people that say they do it by themselves,
Do you?
if you do, you have literally. I mean, I'm not here to judge anybody. Maybe somebody just has that hustle, but
Nah, say it.
you're in your parents' basement. You've quit your job and you're just going 24/7 with it. I mean, I just don't see if you're doing it by yourself, because
You'll burn out eventually, that's for sure.
Exactly. Especially if just focusing on music, you got to write the music, you got to make the beats, you got to record it, you got to mix and master it. That doesn't take, the smallest amount of time. That
It can
takes
take months.
hours.
Yeah.
Not only that, just the learning process of learning how to do it.
Yeah, man.
Getting the funds to build your studio, getting that takes time. So if again for anybody, build those resources, man. Just build those resources of people, and just learn, just educate yourself.
Yeah, it's so important in this game, especially in this time we're all doing things ourselves and taking it upon ourselves to put out product straight from where we at. Like you gotta understand it. Don't half-ass this stuff.
Nah.
Like especially if you take it seriously, because if you half-ass it, someone like you, someone like me, we're gonna be like, yo, this dude, what's he doing?
Serious people gonna recognize.
They gonna call you out. Yeah.
real gonna recognize real. So that's just all it is. And again, sidebar, I'm gonna plug Hero. Like that's what I love about like Bars Over Bars as a resource, because people submit their music, you play it, and then you're like, yo, you should turn the beat up a little bit. You should turn up your vocals. Mix was a little bit off.
Yeah.
Vocals sounded cool, but could have just flowed a little bit better. Like that's what people need to hear. If you're doing this by yourself, you need to get that feedback from somebody else and just hear, like, because if you're just listening to itself, everything is gonna sound great.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? At some point, everything is just gonna sound great. I mean, I'm my biggest critic, so I could think something sounds great, but then 2 minutes later, I'm like, no, I gotta do this over, even though it could be perfectly fine.
And that's why you need those people who could be like, no, man, this is amazing, or like, yo, man, you think this is good? I actually don't think it's good.
Hero hates me for that, because I'll send him stuff. I'll be like, man, I don't know, I don't know if this is it. He's like, dude, you need to stop like doubting yourself, man. Like this shit's fire.
Yeah.
Like, put this out now. And I'm like, all right, man. All right, I just got to get out of my own head.
Yeah, man. That's funny to hear, man. It's a common problem with artists. We're always our own worst enemy. Sometimes it's like, yo, you just made a fire ass track. Just drop it, man.
Yeah, exactly.
I find it too funny, man. But at least you didn't do that with your latest project, man. Moving out. That is a solid project that I definitely want to ask you about, man. It's one of the most unique projects I've heard from anyone from the city. Because you came in with an intro, man, and really set the tone for what you were doing. And in that you're just kind of just talking about artists just setting themselves up for this trap that is these crazy ass contracts like a 360 and things like that, man, and just jeopardizing their mental health just for some clout. But why do you think that artists keep falling into these traps, these crazy contracts? I mean, I know there's some obvious reasons for it, but from your perspective, from what you've seen and learned, why do you think artists keep going to that direction?
One, they don't read the contract. It's just plain and simple. They see the advance, and they either don't read it, they read it and they don't understand it because they don't have the other pieces in play, whether it's a music lawyer, whether it's just an advisor, a manager. When it comes to these situations, you have to be prepared, or just again teach yourself, learn about these types of contracts, learn what's in these contracts, and the verbiage of it, because when it comes down to it, you may have that opportunity and you could get yourself sucked into a deal that just you don't expect, and you end up screwing yourself in the long run. And that's what some of the things that I've seen, whether it's through other podcasts like Joe Budden podcast, or just interviews I've seen from other artists that finally got out of their deals. They're like, dude, I didn't realize like everything that I was caught up in, whether it was publishing, whether it was distribution, or just owning the masters. They're like, I was screwed. And like, I got this $1 million, advance, and they were like, all right, go put out an album. And I was like, I bought jewelry, I bought cars, I bought all this other stuff.
It's like, no.
And then I put the album out, but, I didn't really put into, really focus on the marketing, which you think the label is going to help you with. You'd be slightly mistaken on that. for a lot of artists and a lot of labels, and and then their album flops, or they don't make what they think, and then their label's going, where's our money?
Yeah,
and
we need that shit back.
yeah, and they're like, it's right here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, so then they get stuck, and then they're rushing to try to figure it out, put out a new song or something that's gonna just click, and then it's like, by then you're either too late, and you just fall apart. And so those are just a lot of different things that I was just seeing, just people just getting caught in these things, not understanding what these deals are, and they're losing their mental health over it, and they're not getting those valuable support systems in play. When you're in music, you definitely, you see it all the time, just artists either just wearing themselves too thin, their mental health is going to crap, excuse me, and there's nobody there to help them, and then they either disappear, they put out this super deep project, or unfortunately, like some people, they take their own lives, and and then we're like, oh man, I had no idea. Well, it's like, well, they don't have the resources, or they've literally been putting it in their music, but you just wanted to hear the music, you didn't want to hear what they actually had to say, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh man, I wish they were here, RIP type of thing. And it's like, now you want to claim them a legend, and now you want to boost them up and put their radio, their songs in the radio and stuff. It's like, dude, where were you when they really needed that help and they were going through that stuff, whether we know it or not. But just these people just have to really think about, I'm not saying every deal is bad, I'm not saying
definitely
every
not.
deal is is terrible, but just look at it, do your research,
be patient. If don't bite the bullet on that first contract. Like,
exactly.
Be patient, know your worth, understand that something good might come to the table. Like, there's an artist like Token, he had to go through like 4 different contracts before he came to that 5th one, and he was like, oh, this is the one where they'll be like, hey, you can do what you want and blah this, blah that, and he was like, oh, I'm taking that. Like, I think it's just knowing your worth and being patient, because a lot of times, people, some artists, they might come from poverty, might come from these shitty situations, so they hear $1 million advance, $2 million advance,
for sure,
and they're not thinking in the details of financially what that is. Like, not even thinking of the taxes and just where that money's got to go to, and ultimately it's not even that's millie's not yours. It's ultimately like $250,000 that's yours after everything's said and done. You know what I mean? And then you still got to owe the label back, because like you said, what if the project doesn't sell enough money? It's like, this shit's a business at the end of the day, man. As much as we want to be artists to create, it's like, business is going to be business at the end of the day.
Yeah, and they don't have that money plan. They just start just buying stuff and just figuring it out. Like, I've always thought about, if I were to get a deal, like you said, like, don't bite on that first, even second, third deal. Like, know your worth. Like, I always tell people, if I were to ever get signed, like, you are going to sign me for one, exactly who I am. You are not going to sit there and try to
change who
reinvent me into something. No, you signed me because you like the way that I rapped, and I'm gonna keep rapping that same way. 2, I want to be able to have control over what I'm doing. I don't want you telling me, no, you can't have that artist, you can't do this, you can't do that. Yes, you are there for feedback, and obviously you are the one that is going to push out my album, but I need to have control over what I'm doing, because it's just, you're not going to get the same if you're doing everything. So, and 2, just, put the album out.
Yeah.
Give it a minute.
Yeah.
Give yourself a minute. See how it works, man. Like, get the album out, get the money back, and then see, like, where, like, stop rushing to get all this stuff. Like, you've gotten to this point. You've persevered through 10 years of grinding through it, no money at all to put, a project together. I think you can wait a little bit longer to make sure that in the long run, you're good. Like, the best example I always saw was, I think it was one of the, I don't know if it was like the producers or whatever, that made the music for Lion King. They were like, yo, we're going to give you $200,000. Like, I'm just making up a number, $200,000 for the rights to song A, B, and C, whatever. And then you just walk away. We cut ties. Everything's cool and peachy. And he was like, nah. And look at it now. Like, you look at Lion King as a franchise, he made way more than $200,000 in his lifetime. He's still reaping benefits from it. Like, he wasn't stupid, because he looked at it and he said, that's another thing that these artists got to think about, is it's not just about right now. You have to think about the long run.
The long term is so important, man. It's hard to think in the future, and it's hard to put yourself in that position. Like, yo, like 5 years from now, like you still want to be doing it. Like you said, you put all this time in. Like, why stop now? You want to make sure you continue this on forever. Like, because in this rap game, you ain't promised no pension, no 401k.
Nope.
You got to plan this shit right, because you're gonna put yourself in a predicament in 5 years, and you don't want that. No one wants to be the has-been or washed. Like, that's a shitty situation to put yourself in, man. So I think it's just so important for artists to study up on game. All the information's there. Like it's not the 90s where people were getting screwed over and information was held from us. Like, everything you need to know about this music industry is on Google.
There are books. There's books and books and books. Like, I have 2 sitting in my house. It's all for the music. One's for the music industry, and one's for like music contracts.
Yeah,
they're literally right there. Like, there's just no excuse for it anymore. The resources are there. There's, like you said, like, even just YouTube something. There's thousands of people
giving out free game. You don't have to pay for it. You don't gotta pay for that.
Exactly.
Free game.
Just explaining what these deals are. So just, again, not every deal is a bad deal. Just it's more so know what you're getting yourself into. If that is what you want, somebody to have full control, and you just want the advancement and whatever, by all means jump into that.
Go for it. Oh yeah.
But then again, just make sure you have your finances straight. And if you're gonna buy that watch, you're gonna buy that car, make sure you just have money to the side, so that if things go downhill, again, nobody knows when their career is gonna end.
Yeah,
they hope I would hope you would want it for long term, but things happen, music changes. Have a plan. Just have a plan in place for everything. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Just have a plan in place.
Yeah. No, that's real shit, man. Yeah, for real. I think that's just the best way to look about, man. The older I get, the more I realize how like smart and Prince was.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I always, like, growing up, I was like, man, Prince is an angry guy. Like, why is he? I was like, oh, well, it's because the industry can treat you like shit.
Yeah.
So I definitely, it all makes sense the older you get and you learn the game, man. So
yeah, for sure, man. So yeah, that intro was just trying to just open some eyes. Again, it wasn't to say, no, don't sign a deal ever. It was just, think about what you're going to get yourself into. And that's what it leads into with NSFW. Just, we're not, to me, again, like I said before, I'm not for sale. You're not going to just buy me and then change everything that I am. I want to be free to write whatever I feel is necessary for me to make music. And that's it.
Straight up, yeah, simple as that. It's like, you ain't gonna put me in no cage, man. I'm an artist, and I express myself the way I want to. I'm gonna talk about what I want. You definitely talk about what you want. You say what's on your mind, man. You're addressing stuff like police brutality and mental health, things that people are afraid to get into, and you're addressing it just like it's nothing. Like, yo, I'm gonna tell it like it is. Here we go, and you're on your Instagram page, during Black History Month. I saw that, man. Like, every day you posted stuff. I'm like, that's what we need. But I gotta ask you, man, because for me, I'm kind of hesitant with, like, getting on my, like, shit talking about that. Like, a brand's a brand. You try to make sure you do things the right way. So I gotta ask you, man, was there any hesitation to address police brutality in a song like Around the Corner? Like, was there any like, should I do this, should I not, with taking on these type of topics?
I mean, you definitely have your reservations, because obviously you have to, I guess you could say, you have to choose your words wisely, because there's always somebody. I mean, nowadays, the way things are, even if you choose your words wisely, somebody always has something to say about it, whether it's good or bad. So, sometimes you just have to not just say how you feel, but just be conscious of what you're saying. And, I just wanted to, so Around the Corner was, it just tied in with everything that I was seeing, at the time. and
Even
just
the way the song starts off with the news clips. Yeah.
exactly. And it was just like for one, the police brutality aside for just a half a second, we even including it actually, we because things aren't happening to us directly, we're like, oh, basically an out of sight out of mind type of thing. And it's like, but these things are literally happening right around the corner. You're just either being naive and choosing not to see it, or you're, again, it's not happening to me, so I'm cool type of thing. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, nah, like these things are affecting us in many different, it has a domino effect.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
So, you know, with Kobe passing, like I talk about Kobe passing away, to same day, psychiatrist, ending his life, to, going into the, just police brutality. Like, these things are happening. No, they may not be on a George Floyd or be on a Taylor type of level, but they are happening. And
Oh
that's what
yeah,
I wanted to get across. Like, there are these situations that are happening, just because they're not all over the news doesn't mean they're not happening. So we
exactly.
just need to take a look around the corner and just see how we can help improve our neighborhoods, our communities, because it starts there. It doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
we have to start, it's crazy to think, but we have to start small. It starts with one person that just is like, nah, man, like, we just got to make a change and just do what's right for everybody. Again, you don't have to like everybody, but just respect everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to bring awareness to everything that was just happening around me, and just everything that I was seeing, and just like, and also just to say, like, hey, like, I see you, like, I see what's going on, like, you're not alone. I'm just as frustrated as you are. I'm just as unhappy as you are. And, just saying, like, these things are not okay, and we need to make a change about that. And I Am So Loco, who, kind of covers the second half of that song, just really just put the nail in the coffin with that. And just again, he just attacked, I think, even harder than I did on, the police brutality. I mean, just with his verse. So, I commend him for even
Going in like that. Yeah.
jumping in like that,
Mm-hmm.
so, and taking those steps, and, voicing from the other side, per se, the other side, and just saying, like, nah, I don't agree with this either. So it was cool to hear what he had to say, and especially on that topic, because I had given him kind of free reign, just like, hey, like, just talk about, like, what's going around, your neck of the woods type of thing. And he was like,
Mm-hmm.
and he was just, in my head, I'm like, he was just like, nah, I'm gonna continue what you said, and just
We're going
really
in.
just, yeah. And so he did a great job with that. But
For
yeah, no,
sure.
I just wanted people to just know, like, hey, like, these things are going on. We just need to not be blissfully unaware of it,
Mm-hmm.
and just, be respectful, and let's just, help change our communities for the better.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I love it, man. I love seeing it. And sometimes you gotta take that stand. And like you said, in the process, word it right, but you gotta take that stand and stand up for what's right, because ignoring the issue is not gonna do anything and bring any benefit to the people. You gotta stand up every now and then. And regardless of what lane an artist is or whatever you're in, you gotta bring some light to it. Like, you don't gotta make a whole album about it or a song about it, but
Right.
it's good to, as if you're an artist, like, to at least share around on your story at least what's going on, or just like, mention it to the people, social media, what's going on. Like, we gotta bring light to this, man, and let the people know, like, what we're feeling and what's going on, because we could pretend like, oh, everything's all blissful, like you were saying, but it's like, it's not really. And we got to stop pretending like things are like that. And I think the country in some form or fashion is fed up. We're starting to,
Yep.
they, they pulled back the curtain and showed you what's going on, man. And I think, we're in a time right now where people ain't gonna take this shit no more.
Nah, no,
We're
they're
fed up,
not.
man.
I mean, we've seen it. We've seen it. So
Mhm.
whether it's on the good or the bad side, we've just seen it. Like, people are not, they're not just saying no and just standing down anymore. They're doing something about it, whether it's a protest, whether it's an unfortunate riot, those kind of things. Like, people, are doing something about it. They're saying something about it. They're getting, and social media is, the platform to be able to do that now. You didn't have that back in the day, like
Nah.
your Martin Luther King's. He didn't have Instagram to go and put up a video and, hey, come out and march with me. And,
Just
he had to,
newspapers.
he had to find a way, but he did it.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, damn right, man. Definitely
but,
made it happen.
we have social media now just to be able to do those things. And that's what, again, what I'm trying to bring across is we have social media that puts everything in front of you. So like you can't sit around and just be blissfully unaware of what's happening because you have access to it right there in your phone. Whether it's social media or just Google.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all information's all there, and it's a gift and a curse, because people be believing wild shit like the Earth is flat, and like don't QAnon, like you know what I mean, like you thought like all this information is great, and it's just like, oh, this shit actually is backfiring a little bit. You know what I mean?
You're like, come on, you're like, all right, man.
Yeah, man. But ultimately at the end of the day, man, you're doing your thing with inspiring and bringing, a good message to the people, man. And I know you dropped Too Late. I know that's that's another joint that you got, just stressing more things as well. But what's next for J Faith, man? What's the plan moving forward here? Because you got momentum right now, man.
Yeah. I've been doing a few features. I have the project with Life that we're working on, hopefully going to be putting that out soon within the next couple of months.
I'm looking forward to that, man. It's going to be dope.
y'all better be buckled up because this is definitely it's just a lot of great music and Life definitely pushed me out of my comfort zone to really just push and in a way positively compete with your peer and just be like, nah, like you ain't about to, body me on a verse and leave me standing to the side type of thing. But, we matched it well, but it was just good to be able to push myself out of my comfort zone, whether it was, the rhyme flow, the flow of my verses, concepts that we were talking about. It was just great to be able to just kind of get out of that comfort zone and just really try something different for myself. Speaking for myself.
Yeah.
And then again, like I said, just working on some features with some people. We'll, steadily be dropping some singles. But next Saturday, I'll be back in the studio, working on my next album called Apartments.
Okay.
So it's a follow up from Moving Out.
Yep.
So a little play
I
there.
Caught that. Hell yeah, man. No, that's good.
Yeah, this project's been like 5 years in the making.
Wow.
So between just accumulating beats and writing the lyrics, like the project is pretty much like 98% written already. I was gonna start it last year, but then COVID hit. I was gonna hit up the Bridge Sound and Stage to record everything, and then COVID hit and everything shut down. So obviously I couldn't go there, and I wanted everything in house in studio. So I was like, all right, I'm going to put this to the side. I'm going to put this on hold. But I still want to put out some type of project. So that's where Moving Out came in and the name of Moving Out. Because I was like, okay, let's create a precursor and just something that is going to kind of lead into what I'm talking about with Apartments. And all I'll say is Apartments is definitely going to be the realest part of me in every single song. I've said this before on another interview. A lot of my older projects, and this is no diss to anybody that I've worked with whatsoever. A lot of the music that I created, maybe minus my first ever project, it was music that I think I thought at the time the people that I was surrounding myself with wanted to hear. Yeah. Sprinkled with me. I kept myself in it, but it was again, I was trying to just kind of appease the masses that were, around me, with what kind of they were doing, and just be like, hey, like, check this out. Oh, cool, yeah, because it fits kind of what you're doing. Whereas Apartments is there's no strings attached whatsoever. This is literally, and again, this is coming from. Again, this is 5 years in the making of a lot of hard and difficult situations that I've gone through that I'm finally putting on record. And again, I took my time finding the beats and just making sure all the beats were exactly what I wanted.
Get that right feel.
Yeah. So this is going to be just straight J Faith as he is, as he was, and just like from skin to bone.
Whew,
so that's what I can say about what's coming from Apartments.
Oof, man, I can't wait for that, man. I think, I could just tell, like, with each project, each song, you're elevating, getting more comfortable with just opening up more. It's not easy to open up as an artist. And so, it takes time to, figure it out and word everything correctly. So you're not coming off too crazy or, not cohesive. You know what I mean? You're coherent. Like you gotta make sure that shit's ready to go. You can't just open up about some, shit that, was, a serious moment in your life. You gotta make sure that message is right, for the people, man. So, I'm totally looking forward to Apartments, the project that you got with Life, man. I think it's something to definitely look forward to, man. But we're coming up towards the end of the episode, man. I'm really happy to have you on to the episode today, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. I think we had a really good conversation here, man. Is there anything you want to plug for the people before we wrap this one up, man? Or where can they follow you out? What should they keep up with right now?
So you can hit me up, follow me, J_Faith Official, Instagram, pretty everywhere. Also make sure you follow WriteMind, WRTMND.
Definitely.
Again, that's everywhere. Just follow that movement. We're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, Facebook, all that fun stuff. But just follow what we're trying to do. It's not just about music. There's more to it.
For sure. Oh, yeah.
Just kind of giving back. So, just your typical social media stuff, J_Faith Official, Apple Music, Spotify, whatever you got. Music is all spread out there too. So,
hell yeah, man. J Faith, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being on the show, man. We definitely gonna keep in touch after this, man. Looking forward to everything you got going, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
For sure. Ladies and gentlemen, that's episode 94 of the TempahZone podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure you tune in next week for another episode. All right. Peace out.